Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. This is episode 19 of Inside the Numbers. I'm Hunter Aschenbrenner, joined by Jake Auerbach. We're going to have a returning guest in just a couple of seconds. He's going to be talking hockey with us, if that gives it away. And yeah, very excited for this episode.
Yeah. NHL Draft is coming up this Thursday. Free agency will start July 1st, which is right around the corner, about a week away. And then, NBA Draft, we'll get into that a little bit later. We'll get into the Knicks offseason. So it should be an exciting episode.
Yep, and let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined once again by Daily Faceoff host Jonny Lazarus. A lot of big stuff coming up in the NHL calendar over the next couple of days, and we're going to be talking all about it. Rangers, obviously the focus. So we'll get right into it. The NHL draft is coming up this weekend. The Rangers sit at 5 and 26. I feel like we really don't know the direction the Rangers are going to go, whether they trade, or who they're going to stick and pick. So what are your thoughts on that off the top on who you think they're going to pick and even if they stick there?
Yeah, Hunter, Jake, great to be with you guys again. I appreciate you having me on. I don't think they're going to trade it. I mean, again, listen, anything can happen. Like, I've been wrong about these things plenty of times. But for me, it comes down to two guys, and it's Carson Karels or Caleb Malhotra, if Malhotra's available. It seems like, the trend right now is Malhotra's going to drop. So he could be there at 5. The Rangers need a center. They also need a defenseman. Vigo Bjork, I know, is the popular play amongst Ranger fans, and the name I keep seeing trending on Twitter, but Malhotra seems like the more surefire guy. He's been looked at as a number 1 center in this draft class. So if they can get their hands on him, I think that'd be huge. Carson Karels is another good option, obviously, as a smooth skating defenseman. The Rangers need guys who can skate. So, picking at 5, I actually don't think they can go wrong because they need a center and they need a defenseman. So hopefully they don't mess this one up. I think both options are great options from what I've seen and what I've heard.
I mean, one name I've seen that you didn't mention for number 5 is Albert Smits.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't love the fit for the Rangers. He's more of a defensive defenseman. I don't know how much offensive upside he has. So I've seen that name floated around a lot, and I've seen some people even say he's the favorite. But, I agree with you. I think the two best options are Caleb Malhotra and Carson Karels. Two great skaters, two guys who can really move the puck up the ice and actually score a good amount.
Yeah, I know Smits is popular because of the Olympics. He looked pretty good as a young guy in the Olympics, obviously playing for Latvia. But again, these are just things that you don't really know. I feel like no one really knows how teams are going to go besides like maybe the guys who are considered draft experts. I am not a draft expert. And when you're picking 5 and you have lots of options, lots of different ways you can go. And it all depends on what the teams in front of you do too. So, those are the 3 names I'd say. I'd be shocked if it's anyone else. That would be crazy. But that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, and then they also sit at 26. I feel like that's the spot that's been talked more about a trade out, or, even a shocking trade up could happen. But what's your vibe on that pick? And you think they stick there or try and move out of it?
Almost impossible, I feel like, to predict that late in the round. But a name that I've watched, I guess a guy I've seen maybe that could sneak into the first round is Jack Hextall out of the USHL. He's a stud, can shoot the puck, great playmaker. He grew up in Chicago. Favorite player was Artemi Panarin growing up, and obviously it's a guy who they just traded away. He's been more projected as a second rounder, but they could end up liking an American guy who has a ton of upside, a good skater again, like what they're looking for. So Jack Hextall, I'd say, would be like a sleeper, late first round pick at 26.
All right, yeah. So we'll see what happens Friday night, but should be interesting because no one really knows what they're going to do.
No.
Moving over to the trading and kind of trade chips that the Rangers might sell off. The top option, obviously, Vincent Trocheck. The feel around the league and the team is that he's going to end up being traded eventually. It seems very likely that he will. And there's been a ton of teams linked to him. We've heard Toronto, Detroit, Minnesota. We've even heard the Kings recently. So where do you feel that's going, and what could be a potential return?
Yeah, Montreal is another one. I have a feeling. I don't know if there's enough of a return, but the LA thing just makes the most sense to me. Again, like last year when we spoke to Vinny, he was very against going West Coast. Now all of a sudden he's open to it, which makes you think maybe he's thinking about a particular team. Peter Laviolette, when he was here, Vinny Trocheck was his favorite guy. Like
Yeah.
Trocheck was the first guy out the door, whether it was power play, PK, 6-on-5, 5-on-6, 5-on-3, you name it. Vinny Trocheck was doing it. So knowing the relationship he has with Laviolette and with Artemi Panarin, it just kind of makes sense to go out to LA to finish his contract, which has 3 years left, and then who knows what it looks like after that. But I think it's hard to say who has the best return. Like Matthew Nyes would, I feel like, make a lot of sense, right? If they were to trade to Toronto, Morgan Riley would make a lot of sense. So I don't know if LA makes the most sense from the Rangers' perspective, but from Trocheck's it does. Then again, like Vinny has that 10-team no trade list, so it's not like the Rangers' hands are tied. Like they have a lot of options of places they could move him. But I'm just as curious to see where he ends up as you guys are in that sense.
Yeah, and also on the Rangers, it's not like this roster isn't going to be turned over as we keep going through the offseason. I mean, they've got Schneider, Lafreniere, even Igor and Fox, we've heard floated around in the trade market. I feel like Schneider's probably the most likely out of those four. What's your feeling on those four guys, and especially Schneider and even Lafreniere?
Yeah, I don't think Igor and Fox are going to go anywhere. I mean, at least not from the Rangers side. If they were to go to the Rangers and say, I want out, different story. Lafreniere is very interesting just because right now he doesn't have trade protection. I know that people were saying there's a rumor out there with Ottawa. Not sure how likely that is. I mean, it kind of makes sense for Lafreniere as the player type because Brady Tkachuk obviously was just traded. But again, I don't know what the Rangers will be able to get back. Maybe if they get back a guy like Shane Pinto, it's worth it because the Rangers need a younger center. Like that one, I think is worth a conversation. Who are the other names? Schneider makes a lot of sense, obviously, just because a lot of teams are looking for right-handed shot defensemen. I was saying, or would have said San Jose makes the most sense, but they just traded for Michael Kesselring, so that's probably a little bit more out of the question. Other teams that make sense for Schneider, honestly, if it's funny, like if the Islanders want to go that route, I don't think the Rangers would trade with the Islanders again, even though we just saw it with Carson Soucy last year. I feel like they could use a good right shot defenseman, although they have Tony DeAngelo, who they're discussing or negotiating with right now. But yeah, Schneider's probably the most popular outside of any Trocheck, and I don't know how big that return will be just because it wasn't a great year for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of gotten worse ever since he's been in the league. It seems like he's just been on a steady decline, or not improving the way the Rangers wanted him to. So kind of unfortunate for them, and now they're tied. He's sitting here, restricted free agent. There's potential they sign him to an extension, but I don't think that would be the smartest move.
Either.
But I mean, we'll see what happens. They got a ton of money to spend, so maybe they can give them a contract. But speaking of that money, it's a very, very, very weak free agent class, and they've got, like I said, money to spend. So, what do you think they're going to try to do this offseason, like in the free agent market? Because there's just not much to go after.
So. Yeah, guys, I got to be honest. Like when it comes to free agents, I got no idea what they're going to do. Like not even a hint. I know Mason Marchment's probably like the popular guy right now, but this is like the hardest free agency market to predict because the options seem very, very, very limited. Like it's just Mario Ferraro maybe is the name. Left-handed shot defenseman, very similar to a Ryan Lindgren who they moved on from. He's a guy that I could see them bring in. I know they've had interest in him previously. So that's one name, but outside of that, like I haven't really heard a peep of a guy that they were like last year, this time last year, like we all knew Gavrikov was like a done deal. Like there's none of that happening right now.
It's because it's such a weak market. I mean, Alex Tuck is the top guy.
Yeah.
I just don't think the Rangers will go there. I just don't
if
think
they want to use the Panarin money that freed up for Alex Tuck, I think it's a bad decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the route they go, but I don't think that's the best decision.
Yeah, I mean, what we've been saying for a while is that they might trade for a guy, because of how weak the market is, like a younger forward or a defenseman they might be linked
That's what they
to.
should do. They need to get
Yeah,
younger. They need to get
yeah.
younger.
And I think some of those guys make a ton of sense. Like we've seen Mason McTavish has been linked to the Rangers. We've seen Bowen Byram, Matthew Nyes, you mentioned earlier. And then even guys that they could potentially offer sheet like Jason Robertson or Pavel Dorofeyev. I think they can make a lot of sense for the Rangers.
Yeah, I think Robertson, honestly, just because Team USA didn't take him, there might be some bad blood with Mike Sullivan and Chris Drury, to be honest. So I don't know if Jason Robertson would necessarily want to come to New York. And again, Robertson's so interesting because he's been so close to getting to unrestricted free agency. I don't know if he at this point is willing to sign an extension. He might want to just become an unrestricted free agent next year. I don't know if he's a good guy to bet on or gamble on, just because again, this is a guy who's lined up contracts to get to the open market, right? He's got where is he? How old is he? He's 26 right now. Yeah. So after this year, he's an unrestricted free agent. So I just don't know. He's a tough one. He's a tough one.
Yeah. And then as we sit on the trade topic, I mean, the big shocker around the NHL a couple days ago, as you said, Brady Tkachuk going to Florida for a huge return with 3 firsts. I mean, it kind of, when you look at it, makes the Panarin trade look a lot worse because the Rangers didn't get anything close to that for Panarin. Why do you think the market for Panarin and Tkachuk were so much different and the value that came back to the Rangers were so much different?
Well, I personally don't think the Rangers wanted to trade Panarin a year or two ago. I think they were playing a wait and see game. They wanted to remain competitive. And then, next thing they know, the 24-25 season goes off the rails. And now, they're stuck trying to figure out what they're going to do with Panarin. They give him a lowball offer, an offer in his mind that felt pretty insulting. He didn't feel wanted. And now, they're forced to move him in the middle of a season when he has, it's the last year of his contract. So they have zero leverage at all. If they were going to explore trading Artemi Panarin, or if they weren't sure what they wanted to do with him going forward, that should have been explored a year earlier when, the shit hit the fan, when they traded away Kakko and they traded away Trouba, when they started talking about trading away Kreider. Panarin's name should have been involved in that. They wanted to retool on the fly. They put out the letter this past year saying that they're doing a retool instead of a rebuild, when the retool started a year earlier. So for me, they took away any leverage that they would have had in trading Artemi Panarin, and then they were stuck with their backs against the wall when Panarin said he only wanted to go to LA. Brady Tkachuk, is having a open and honest discussion with 2 years left on his deal, which gives the Ottawa Senators a little more wiggle room to find a home for him because, the teams know that the Ottawa Senators aren't desperate. They can hang on to him for another year if they want to, or they could try to find the spot for him. I mean, it ultimately came down to him wanting to go to Florida, but the Rangers didn't act quick enough, and they they messed up a great asset to have and to move. That's the guy, if you want to trade to get younger, you do it, but they did it too late.
Yeah, I think the whole situation for the Rangers is just terrible, asset management by Drury and the whole front office. But I think Brady Tkachuk has been a name that the Rangers fans have put out there for the last couple of years, especially since the Four Nations and the Olympics. They've wanted to go after Tkachuk. They said he's a perfect fit for New York. I agree with that, but I think they dodged a bullet with this one. I think trading 3 first-round picks and the timeline with where the Rangers are sitting right now just makes no sense.
I completely agree as well. I think right now what the Rangers are missing is young skill. They need young skill. And I've talked to players around the league, some of the elite players who say the same. They look at this team, they wonder what the direction is. They wonder where the high-end skill is, and it's not really there right now. Gabe Perreault is the one young guy we can look at and say, that's promising for the future. Outside of that, Adam Fox is getting older. Zibanejad, Trocheck, Miller, these guys are getting older. There's no young and upcoming talent that is drawing players to want to come here and play with right now, and that's the problem.
Yeah. I mean, going back to these trade targets or potential free agent targets, something we don't see a lot is an offer sheet to a restricted free agent, but I think a guy who I mentioned earlier, Pavel Dorofeyev from Vegas, he's a terrific goal scorer. He's a good young forward, and I think he fits perfectly with the Rangers. And Vegas is kind of handcuffed with their money. They don't have a lot of cap space. And they have Rasmus Anderson to re-sign, who's going to get a lot of money. I think Dorofeyev could be a legit option for the Rangers if they want to give him an offer sheet. It would probably be a first-round pick next year and a third, I think. But I think that could be a really good player for the Rangers to add.
Yeah, he's going to be the most popular sought after offer sheet candidate in the NHL. There's no secret about that. And again, like Dorofeyev is a guy who has shown it in the playoffs, although I think he went like a little bit quiet in the cup final. He was so hot throughout most of the postseason.
Yeah.
And then, again, like I think what he had, like 1 or 2 goals maybe in the final. Maybe one. But a 25-year-old, like perfect age range that the Rangers are looking for this retool, similar to like Matthew Nyes. He's a guy who fits exactly what they need. Like, they brought in Ty Cartier earlier this year, and as well as Ty Cartier played, like he's not the sustainable guy to have in your top 6. He'd be perfect on the 3rd line, probably 4th line, but you need a guy who can score a consistent, 25, 30, 35 goals in the season, and that is Pavel Dorofeyev. Like, I couldn't agree more. Like that's something that they could definitely go for, Jake.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're looking for and what they should look for. And one guy we forgot to bring up earlier, whose name has been floated around, Vlad Gavrikov. He signed a long-term contract in free agency with the Rangers last offseason, but all of a sudden, there's been rumors that he might want to go back to LA potentially, because he came to the Rangers, he wanted to win, and he wanted to play with Artemi Panarin, and now he's with the Kings. Gavrikov was happy with the Kings, and the Kings look like they're in a position that they could win. So do you think that's a real possibility that he actually gets moved?
I think it's very real. I think it depends on what the Rangers do. If Adam Fox were to want out, I think Gavrikov is definitely out. Like that's a big reason why Gavrikov came here as well. And remember, like Panarin was he might still be living there in Gavrikov's house in LA. So, it just goes to show the relationship those two have. But the Gavrikov thing, from everything I've heard, is very real. And when you talk to him in the locker room last year, when you talk to him on exit day, you can kind of sense he seemed a bit unhappy. There are certain guys you talk to where you just kind of get that feeling. I think we all got that feeling with Vlad Gavrikov. But I think it all depends on what the next 2 weeks look like for the Rangers. If there's not any free agency moves, if there's not any big trades, you might end up hearing Gavrikov fully wanting out. But again, like that's not something I can necessarily say is a for sure thing to happen right now. As we see things progress, it might be more and more likely just because, again, this is a guy who's 30 years old, wants to win. He has that no movement clause. We've seen the guys the past couple of days take their no movement clause, tell a GM, hey, not working for me. I want out. Send me here. Here's where I'll go. And Gavrikov has that leverage. So we could end up very well seeing Gavrikov do what Tkachuk has done, present what Larkin has presented to Detroit. Like very, very possible.
Yeah. And then one last thing, non-Rangers related, unfortunately. The Carolina Hurricanes absolutely steamrolled their way to the Stanley Cup and won it then, 16-3 on the run, dominant. What was your reaction to this year's Stanley Cup playoff?
It was awesome. You know what? It lacked a little bit of drama just because we only saw 2 Game 7s, and both of those were Montreal Canadian Game 7 wins, which I think actually both went to overtime. But as far as the overall competitiveness of the playoffs, game to game, I thought it was great. Overall, I thought it lacked a little bit of drama. As someone who was pretty much staying up till 1 a.m. every night watching every game on TV, or as much as I could have watched, I had a blast. Like I thought the games were awesome. Yeah. But Carolina's run, you got to give a lot of credit to them. I've doubted them for years. I doubted them in the first round. I picked Ottawa to win 7 in the first round. I feel like an idiot. But their performance and the way they figured it out in the Cup final, I thought they were done. Game 2, in between the second and third period, I was having conversations with everyone in the media in the press box saying this series is over. Vegas is going up 2-0, and Carolina's going to lose this thing maybe in 5 games. And the way they turned it around, Stankoven makes the huge play. Jordan Stahl was incredible. Brandon Bussey came in and saved the entire series. Like, what a story. A great group of guys. Taylor Hall being another one. I love that guy. He's an awesome guy to talk to. Very happy for him. Really happy for those guys that they got it done. And Rod Brindamore obviously is the pinnacle of it all, with how great of an ambassador for the sport he is, what he means to the organization, what he means to the city and state of Raleigh and North Carolina. So really happy for those guys.
Yeah, so quickly, you bring up Brandon Bussey, who they
Yeah.
claimed off of waivers, I think like a year ago.
Mhm.
And I think all four goalies that of the teams that made it to the conference finals, they're all under contracts of like $5 million a
Yeah.
year or something.
Yeah.
And Rangers fans all over were like, so we got this goalie, Shesterkin, who is arguably the best in the league, but he's under a deal for what is it, 11 and a half, 12
11.5.
million?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 11 and a half per year, and the Rangers are like, so we're spending this money on a goalie, and it's now showing that is a goalie really that important? So,
I
what do you
mean,
think about that?
I think both teams would have loved an elite goalie in that cup final,
Yeah,
right?
for
Like
sure.
goaltending was a big problem through the first 4 games. But not every team is built the same. Like the Rangers, listen, if they want to shake things up and they want to redo their entire roster, trade Igor. That's totally fine. Like
Yeah,
if that's the direction they want to go, if they want to try to remain competitive, having the best goalie in the league, in my opinion, helps them remain competitive. And, that could help them win one day. We've seen really good goalies go on really good runs. It's happened before. Tim Thomas was the most important player of the Boston Bruins 2011 Stanley Cup team. Jonathan Quick, you could say the same. I think in 2014 when he won the Conn Smythe. Like goaltending is important, and I bet you the Vegas Golden Knights wished they had a better goalie.
yeah,
That was a problem. So it's always like I wish we had what that team had because they won the cup. But like you need everything to go right in order to win. Like Florida could have easily won again this year. They didn't make the playoffs. Everything went wrong that could have. It's all about staying healthy. It's all about timing. It's all about everything clicking at the same time. And that's really what it comes down to when it comes to winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, and I thought the crazy thing for the Rangers fans to watch in the playoffs was the former Rangers just having an incredible postseason.
Yeah.
Obviously, Keandre Miller and then Brett Howden
Yeah.
were two of the stars this year. I mean, they just weren't that in the Garden, and they absolutely dominated the cup.
Yeah, I think Howden is a different story, right? Like Brett Howden was so young when he was here. He
yeah,
was like a fourth line center. Like the timing did not line up, I think, for Brett Howden when he was a Ranger. Keandre, I think the world of. Always have. I've always been a big fan of his game. And, I'm on record saying I think Keandre Miller is going to go to Carolina and be an absolute star there. Like, I think it just fits his game very well. The entire team, the way they play, the support they have. Like Keandre's a guy, it was going to be hard for him to fail in that environment. In New York, I think the expectations were just so high because his first few seasons were so good. He was producing offensively. I think he had 40 plus points in his third year in the league.
yeah,
Like, that's a lot. Like that's a lot of points. Then you have the expectation. And I interviewed Gerard Gallant earlier this year and earlier this summer or spring, whatever month we're in. And he said Keandre, all he wanted to do was be on the first power play. And I couldn't put him there because Adam Fox was there.
yeah,
You couldn't do it. But Howden, again, like he's been gone. He was there and like I think his last year was like the 22 season when
yeah,
the Rangers had Zibanejad clicking. They brought in Andrew Kopp. Philip Hedl was playing third line center. Like Howden wasn't going to play high in that lineup. And even this year, like the run he went on in the playoffs, like scoring more goals in the playoffs in the regular season is crazy. Like
yeah.
that was an
He had
unbelievable
12,
run. Oh,
12
insane.
or something in the regular season, and then he scored.
Yeah.
What did he finish with in the?
I think 13. I think he
14?
finished with
14.
Yeah, 13 or 14 either way. But like he just got hot at the right time.
Yeah,
But yeah, listen, as a Ranger fan, it sucks when you see guys who leave and just do well. But the truth is they've left the Rangers and have gone to better teams.
Yeah. And yeah, that's all we got, Johnny. Thank you a ton for joining us, and we will see what goes on later this week.
No problem. Always a pleasure. Thanks, Hunter. Thanks, Jake.
Thank you to Johnny. Before we end episode 19, we'll go into the Knicks a bit. The NBA draft is tonight. We're recording this on Tuesday. This episode won't be out till Wednesday. The Knicks sit at pick 24, 31, and 55. I'd be pretty shocked if they make all three of those picks. It sounds like 24 is very likely to be traded just because of money reasons. They can't afford it. The guy that's really linked to the Knicks, though, throughout the entire draft is Zubi Ejiofor, the forward out of St. John's. That'd be really cool if he comes to the Knicks. But, yeah, I mean, we're going to have to see what the Knicks do tonight as they try and maneuver the cap to run this team back.
yeah. I think the draft tonight. And tomorrow will be a big implication of what their plans are with guys like Mitchell Robinson and Landry Shamet, who are going to be unrestricted free agents this summer. But yeah, I think let's say they draft a big man, like a true center, not a guy like Zuby, like a true center. I think that could be an implication of what their plans are with Mitchell Robinson.
If they stick at 24, it's pretty much guaranteed Mitch is going to be gone. Which, I mean, that would be devastating.
If they take center.
No, if they stick because they can't afford it.
Oh, yeah, because of the money, I guess.
Yeah, so they could take Isaiah Evans or Malik Thomas at 24, and it'd still mean that Mitch is probably gone, unless he takes a pay cut, but I don't see him doing that. I mean, I think in the future, you're probably looking at Josh Hart and Karl-Anthony Towns as the next guys to take pay cuts after the precedent sent by the King of New York.
I think Mitch wants to get his bag first before he does that.
He's gotten extended by the Knicks before, though, so we'll see. I mean, the Knicks gave him 4 years, $60 million a couple years ago.
Right,
so,
big money.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm really hoping they find a way to keep Mitch. I mean, the longest tenured Knick. He's been through it all here. And obviously, he sealed the championship.
To start somewhere.
I don't know. I mean, you'd think so in theory, yeah, but Mitch is very self-aware. I mean, I don't think it wouldn't work out if he gets a chance to start. I mean, he hasn't started here in years. I mean, it was Hardenstein that took his starting job, and since then he's been a incredible backup on the bench. He can't stay healthy. He can't play long minutes, so he's not going to fit as a starting center. And he can't hit free throws, so, I mean, that's if he's playing big minutes, teams are just going to keep taking him off the court.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but if a team offers him the most amount of money and to be the starting center, I would be pretty surprised if he takes less money to be the backup in New York.
Yeah, true. I mean, we'll see. I mean, a guy that the Knicks extended last night, which very happy about, Mo Diawara. The numbers aren't officially out for his contract, but we're probably looking at a 4-year deal worth about $2.19 per year, which, I mean, he's got a lot of potential. I mean, he showed a lot of flashes. He was really solid. He's got the archetype of a very good player. The Knicks were trying to hide him down the stretch so he doesn't get a contract big from another team. And Ian Begley reported, I'm pretty sure, that even if he got to the market and other teams gave him a bigger deal, the Knicks would have an edge because he felt really comfortable here. And he loved it in New York. So I think Mitch is probably going to be around that same situation. It's just how big is the discrepancy in the contracts?
Yeah. We just have to see what happens with Mitch because it's hard to predict like what type of team could offer him. But I think with Diawara, it's a good deal. They got him for, what was it, 4 years?
It's not officially out. I mean, it changes a lot. If it's Sham said a 2-year or a multi-year over $10 million. So and you can't.
That.
It doesn't work at 3 years. There's no way with his bird rights. So I'm pretty sure it's 4-year 2.19, which that would be a steal. Or they use the mid-level exception or the non-taxpayer one, and you're looking at 2-year about $5 million, which that's not a strong contract. So I'm assuming it's likely the 4-year one, which, yeah, I mean, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a guy who has a lot of untapped potential that he could hopefully reach for the Knicks. I've seen people compare him to a guy like Pascal Siakam. And if we can get a guy like Pascal Siakam on this team at pick 51, who's making $2 million a year.
Exactly.
Like, that's one of the steals of all time right there.
He looked amazing in his spot minutes this year. I mean,
I think
he can handle the ball. He can shoot defense. He's lengthy. I mean, yeah, I'm excited about him.
He needs to bulk up a little bit this offseason, I think.
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
Not too much, but I think if he adds about a good 10, 15 pounds of muscle, I think he could be a really, really good player.
Yeah. But then back on the free agent thing, I mean, I really feel that people are going to be shocked if both of them leave, which I'm really hoping they don't. I think Shamet gets a very close deal to Mitchell Robinson. And I'm hoping the Knicks prioritize Mitch over Shamet. I love Shamet, but he's replaceable. Mitch is not easily replaceable at all, but the reason is I mean, if he's a starting center and you're paying him big money, and he's not going to play a lot because one, he can't stay healthy, two, he'll get winded, and three, teams are going to try and take him off the court with the foul shots. So that's why I think teams would be hesitant to pay him. I mean, we saw like the Nets last night just have all this money to throw at people, and they gave Julius Randle. They took on Julius Randle's huge contract. So I mean, that we could see a team like that trying to get Mitch. Like if the Kings, I know the former Knicks GM Scott Perry is over there as the president. I know the Nets make a lot of sense for Mitch just from a basketball point. But yeah, I'm hoping the Knicks find a way to keep their longest tenured Nick and also Shamet, who was in a huge part of this run.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Nets twice, but they just traded away their center last night, right?
Yeah,
So I think that could be a real possibility.
they've got a ton of money.
I mean, it's a good move for
I
his
don't
family.
think Mitch is gonna go there though.
I think he's probably gonna want to win. Well, he just won, but
I
we'll
mean,
see what
yeah.
happens. It's hard to predict, but I think a guy like Shamet, I think you're right. I think it's not easy to replace anyone who just won a final, but look, he was a good player. He's a good bench player. You can really shoot, but you can find guys like that in the draft.
Yeah, I mean 3-and-D players that are shooters. I mean, it's just they're easier archetypes to find than a defensive monster and an offensive rebounding monster. Like that's just that.
If they stick and pick at 24, which it seems unlikely as of right now, if they stick and pick there and they could take a good spot up shooter who can come.
Isaiah Evans fits that. I mean, he probably has to bulk up a bit to really stick in the NBA. But I mean, I like him.
But I think he could be a decent 3-and-D type of guy. In the NBA
for sure. And then the last point, not Knicks, or I mean, it used to be Knicks related, but ended up not mattering as the Knicks won the NBA championship. The Giannis sweepstakes finally came to an end. Boston misses out, and they're gonna have to trade Jaylen Brown now, so that's amazing. And the Heat land Giannis. They have nobody else on the team pretty much, so I don't really see how the Heat are gonna compete. I mean, they've got me and you on the bench.
It's Giannis, Bam, and friends.
Yeah, I mean, they've got nobody on the bench. I mean, I'm not really sure who's handling the ball. I mean, Davion Mitchell is a nice player, but is he your lead guard and lead ball handler? I mean, they're not going to be able to keep Norman Powell. So, look, Giannis is great. I really wanted him on the Knicks until they won the championship. And if the Knicks lost that series, I think 10 minutes after, Giannis would have been a Knick. I mean, look, when you look into Giannis, though, it's not a pretty situation. He's 32. He hasn't been healthy in a while. He's eligible for a $70 million contract. And you also look into the future, like, you see how Russell Westbrook has aged. Like, Giannis doesn't have much of a shot. It's really, he's a bigger Russell Westbrook. So I think he'll age better than Russ just because he's huge. But I don't think it's going to be, like, great as he continues to get up in his 30s.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis is an all-world player. I have no doubt that he'll be one of the better players, or one of the best players in the league for the next couple of years at least. But I mean, yeah, they traded away a lot of good young pieces. I mean, Tyler Hero is a great player.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just they gave away Jaime Jaquez, Kello Ware. I'm not sure his last name. I don't know how to pronounce it, but Kasparis. I mean,
Jakakunis.
Yeah, I don't know how to say that.
Last year.
Yeah, he's really good, and it's funny. I mean, Boston wouldn't make the trade because they didn't want to give up Baylor Sharman or Hugo Gonzalez. Hugo Gonzalez is 20 years old. He's got a lot of potential, but he also averaged 3 points a game this year. Yeah. It goes back to reminding me when the Knicks wouldn't trade for Donovan Mitchell because they didn't want to give up Quentin Grimes. And I mean, look, I didn't think Boston was getting better with the Giannis trade, but now that they have to probably trade Jaylen Brown because it's like the Rangers point as we just talked to Jonny. I mean, a couple years ago when they said all offseason we're going to trade Chuba and then you don't, I mean, you can't go back from that.
Yeah.
So I think Jaylen Brown's not going to be happy with that, and you're going to have to find a way to get rid of him, find a team to take him.
I think especially with the report that they actually made the offer. They submitted the offer.
Oh, yeah.
Or they actually submitted the offer to Milwaukee where they had Jaylen Brown in the deal. I think him knowing that, him seeing that, how do you think he feels right now? So,
I mean, he was on stream yesterday, and he's like, all right, everyone's saying stuff about me. You're turning me into a monster. I mean, Jaylen Brown is... I don't think the Celtics would have gotten better with a Giannis trade. Like, Giannis is great. Giannis and Tatum would have been crazy, but Giannis doesn't... Like, you look at Boston, all they do is shoot threes. Giannis doesn't do that.
What do you think about Jaylen Brown for like a Ja Morant and more?
I mean, that's no. Ja has no value. He's like Julius Randle right now. He's a negative contract.
He's gonna be moved, but
for nothing though. Like I think it's just gonna be. I mean, we'll see. I mean, Anthony Edwards, that's a guy to watch in the future. I mean, we're seeing.
Yeah.
Something came out this morning. He hasn't been happy since the Karl-Anthony Towns trade, which that looks incredible now for Leon Rose and maybe the best front office in basketball. I mean, he has no one beside him as his co-star now. We saw their interest in Derek White, but that was really if Giannis went there to Boston. Yeah, we'll see where Jaylen Brown goes. I think he's going to be moved. But yeah, Boston completely misread the situation and are really screwed now.
Yeah, I mean that's something you don't want to let out of the front office, like his name truly being out there, and the fact that
you can't now because it was really they were the finalists. They were the favorites really. When it gets that far, you have to push the deal across. Like when you're putting your 29 point per game All NBA superstar on the table. Why are you being stingy with Hugo Gonzalez and Baylor Shireman?
No, I understand that part, but I'm saying the fact that his name was out there and now it's public, and now that I think Shams posted it last night that his name was really out there, like it was a legit rumor, and his name is actually.
It was the offer.
It
wasn't.
It was the offer. It wasn't a rumor. It was the offer. It was the deal, and I think the fact that piece that got out there, that the word that he's getting traded is out in the public now, I think that's terrible management by the
when you open that door, you can't just like back out of it. You have to go all out to finish it out. And I mean, I just can't believe they got stingy over young players.
We would be saying the same thing about the Heat right now if Tyler Hero, if they didn't trade for Giannis and Tyler Hero's name was out there with.
Tyler Hero's been in trade offers for 4 straight years. Jaylen Brown's a different type. It's just Jaylen Brown's a superstar. I mean, he averaged 29 a game last year.
I think if the rumor came out that his name, like he actually was offered away by the Heat.
Yeah, and he might get traded again. I mean, we're seeing that. They might flip him. Detroit, I'm really hoping Detroit doesn't get him. I mean, that fits them perfectly. I mean, they need more offense. That's what Tyler Hero does. I mean, they've got the defense to protect and like hide him. We're gonna see if they're able to keep Jalen Duren. Hoping they can't. I mean, obviously another guy that another team the Knicks are gonna be competing against in the East again. And as we look at the landscape of the East, I mean, the Knicks are easily the favorites to go back to the finals. And I mean, they should be at least.
I mean, we say that, but according to like ESPN, whatever, they have the Celtics and Pistons with higher odds to win the.
Yeah, but they can say whatever. I mean, the Knicks have never gotten their respect, even when they're NBA champions.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But.
Nope. But yeah, I mean, huge night tonight. We're gonna see. I'm sure there's gonna be trades coming up. The free agency market opens up on the 30th, a week from today. Hopefully, Leon Rose and Brock Aller are able to maneuver the cap, get around it, able to return this championship squad and run it back. Hopefully, add a piece or two in the draft. And yeah,
I would not expect a lot of big signings or trades for the Knicks, though.
No.
Outside of guys
just trying to retain
like
guys
Mitch and Shamet to retain, but if
no money.
I would be very shocked if they go out and make a splash trade or signing.
Yeah, I mean it's just not possible. So. I would like the guys you're not hearing about, like Clarkson, and like I'd like to keep him. I mean, I'd like to keep.
What happened with Alvarado?
He pushed his player option date back 4 days because I mean I'm that pretty much guarantees he'll be back with the Knicks, because why would he do that if he wanted to leave? So I'm assuming what's going to happen is he's going to decline his player option, and then he's going to sign a long-term, shorter AAV deal. Like 4 years, $10 million instead of 2 years, $10 million. So like,
he's the perfect Nick, and he loves being
Oh,
a
yeah.
Nick, obviously. Like,
Perfectly.
he grew up in New York. Like, he's that perfect energy type of guy we need off the bench. And
Yep,
proved
he's
himself.
awesome.
He's awesome. So
and he was one of the heroes in that incredible Game 4.
all playoffs, he was good.
Mm-hmm. All right, that is going to do it for episode 19 of Inside the Numbers. A great episode. We will be back probably next week for one more before Jake's going to be gone for a bit. And yeah.